this video we are going to see how to create a to-do list with some animation. So here I have created the demo and we can see the demo first and then we can see how can we create this, right? So I have this button. So on hover you can see the button is actually highlighting, right, with some box shadow, and on click it is actually pressed, right, something like this. So when I click it gives some feedback that the button is getting pressed. And when I add some to-do list and on click of this, it is going to add this test in the list. Okay, and I'll add ABCD and I'll add test and some random text, right? So whenever it's getting added, you can see it is added with animation, and we can also do sorting here. So on click of the sort button, okay, it will sort with some animation. And also when we click on any to do item, right, it will be deleted, right, it will become reddish color and then it will go out of the view. So slowly it will disappear, which is getting deleted, right? So let's see how we can create this to do list with the help of Framer Motion. This application is a simple to do application, so it doesn't have any animation right now. We are going to add the animation next, right? And here on hover there is no animation, on click there is no animation, and I can add any random to do items here and it will be added without any animation, and the sorting also will happen. So I'll add something to show it is getting sorted, right? You can see it is getting sorted but without any animation. So to make this animated we have to use some library which is Framer Motion, right? So we can install this Framer Motion with the help of npm install Framer Motion. Npm install Framer Motion. So this is the command we can install this particular library, right? So this will be very helpful and very much easier to set up animation in a React application. So right now I have imported two things. Okay, so we are going to use both these things. First let's see how we can use the motion, right? So motion is one of the important component which is provided by Framer Motion. So if you have used style components, you will get styled, right? Import style from style component, and this styled will contain uh, multiple elements, something like div, a, button. So all these HTML elements will be inside this styled, right? So when we use style component, similarly motion is also going to provide us all the HTML elements which we are going to use to make them animated, right? So right now let's go through the code. I'll explain the code and then we'll see how we can use this motion component. So in this to do item, right, so to do component we have two states. One is to do item, okay, so which is going to contain list of items and it's going to contain text, done, and some ID. And we are going to have a sort state, okay, and also we have a ref for the input. It is going to contain input element, and also we have three main functions. So I'll go through the HTML and I'll explain these functions. Okay, so there is a button with sort text and you can see here, right, this is the button and this is the input which we can see here. And also we have one more button which is going to add the to do item, and if there is no task we are going to show no result found. And this is the section, you can see when we remove everything this will be shown. And also we have a UL which is going to show all the items, right, the list of items when we add here. So this input is binded with this ref, okay, and on click of, after entering some text and on click of this button is going to add whatever value we typed in. If there is no value we are not going to do anything. If there is a value we are going to add that to the task list, okay. And also we are going to make the input as empty and then handle remove. So on click of this list we are going to handle this remove part, and it is going to filter the task. So other than the click task, it is going to filter out everything else, and we are going to set that inside set task. And the sort is a sort function. So you can see here it is a JavaScript sort function, and we have to pass a callback here. And this callback, based on this sort value, whether if it is true or false, if sort is false, it is going to return 0, which means the actual order we entered, right? So that will be shown in the screen. And also, if the sort is true, it is going to compare the A's text with B's text, and it is going to alphabetically sort the values. Okay, and here I have used the spread operator because sort is going to perform sort on the same array, so it is going to be in array sorting. So we have to give new instance to React so that it will re-render the things, right? Else the instance will be same, so it will not reflect on the screen. React will not re-render them. So that's the reason here we are spreading out the task. All right, now it's time to use this motion, right? So motion, so first to make a button, okay, a button animated, we have to use motion dot button. Okay, motion dot button. So instead of normal button, I'm going to use motion button. So you can see when I add dot to this, you can see multiple HTML elements which we use, right? So that will appear, right? All the HTML tags will be appear. So we are going to use button from that. Okay, so after adding this component, it will have some props. Okay, so the main prop we are going to use is while. Okay, so you can see the suggestions: while drag, while focus, while hover, while in view, and while tap, right? So we can provide any one. So while hover, I'm going to provide, so it is something similar to CSS hover, right? So we can pass any CSS properties here. And while hover, I'm going to scale it to 1.1, which means it is going to become 1.1 time bigger. Once I save this, you can see for this button, right, it is getting bigger. Okay, now the same way we can use while tap. So while tap will be triggered when we click on the button. Okay, so while tap, we are going to scale down to 0.8. Okay, so now you can see on hover it is getting bigger, and on click it is pressed inside, right? So on click it is getting pressed inside, right? So which creates a nice animation, and this is simple as that. So now we can move these properties. Okay, so I'll just create a variable here. Okay, const button animation, and it's going to contain these properties. So now I can spread out this button animation instead of these two props. The same thing I can do for this button as well. So this button is not working because I have to add motion dot button. Now you can see this also gets the animation, and this also get the animation, right? And next thing what we are going to do is we're going to handle this particular section. So when we add some to do, it should appear with animation, right? So it is also very simple. You can just go to this list, you can just make it into motion dot list. And also for this another list, you can do motion dot another list. Okay, now when we sort or add, there is no animation, but the animation will happen when you just add layout prop, okay, to the UL and the LI. So when I add this layout, what is going to happen is when there is a layout change, so when there is a new element added, the layout is going to shift, right? So that time framer motion will automatically handle that with some animation. Now when I sort, okay, it's not working. Let's save once again, and you can see it is getting added with some animation, right? So it is getting sorted with animation now. On click, it is getting removed. Right? When there is a layout shift, it is actually creating the animation. But when I add something at the end, it will not add the animation, right? So when I add BBB, it will be added with some animation because there is a layout shift. All right. So now how we can make animated, right, for the last element also. So I want some custom animation, right? For that we have mainly 3 to 4 properties, okay, which we are going to see now. So the first one is initial, okay. So this is the property which will be available for any motion element. So initial means initially when the DOM is getting added, how it should be or where it should be, okay. And when it appears to us, right, when it is appearing to us, how it should look, so that we have to provide in this animate, okay. So when it is removed from the DOM, okay, how it should behave, so those properties we have to provide in exit. Now initially when we add YYY, right, so we want to appear it like the opacity should be 0, right? Initially it should not be visible, and slowly it should be visible, right? At the end when we see, it should slowly visible. And also I want to move it from left to position 0. So consider this position as 0, and then we want, while we adding, it should start from here and then slowly it should be come to this position. So what we can do, initially we want to add left, sorry, we cannot use left, instead we have to use X or Y. So I want to use X to be -10, right? It should start from here, somewhere here. And also the opacity should be 0. And when we see that, it should appear here, which is the property here. X should be 0 and opacity should be 1. Okay. And now let's see what happens. Okay, you can see now. I'm just going to add test. Okay, or I can add YYY. You can see the animation, right? So it is appearing from here and the opacity becomes 1. Now we are going to see the exit, right? So while exit, I want to make it to X -10, okay, and also opacity to be 0, and also I can change the background color to red. Okay, now if I click on this, right, even if I refresh and add something, okay, it is not adding the exit animation, right? I was expecting this to happen, so it should become red and it should be removed from the DOM, but it is not happening because we have to wrap these elements, right, the exit animation to work. We have to wrap this with animation presence. So according to the official documentation, we have to add this, okay, and this animation presence immediate child, okay. So for only for this immediate child we can apply this exit animation. Now when I click on this, now you can see it is becoming red and then it is removed. Nice. So this is how we can achieve these animations, and also we can provide y-axis, right? So I want to start from y-axis from 10, and then y should become 0. Okay, now what happens when I add something? it will be added from the bottom. So y is 0 here, and it should start from here and it will be added. And also the layout prop will take care of this animation, right? When there is a layout shift, it will be automatically handled. So I hope this video was helpful. If this video is helpful, give it a like and subscribe to this channel. Thanks for watching.